Hey, how can I help you?
Hey there, are you Jeremy?
Yeah.
How are you?
Who are you?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Can you give your full name, please?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Is that sufficient to identify as the only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI? Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
No. It's First Amendment right.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Sir, could you stop recording, please?
Absolutely not. You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house.
Okay.
I love
broadcast.
Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away.
Yes.
So you can show me your name or ID, you can walk away.
We just want to talk to you.
I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
Amen.
Okay, well, you see our badges.
I need to see... Is your full name on that badge?
No.
I'd like to see something with your full name or I'm not going to talk to you.
Are you not to broadcast it?
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
All I want to do is talk to you about a post that
Don't
was
care
made.
what you want to do.
Wow.
I want to
Why?
talk to you about you guys coming here.
Good.
Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures? Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like
We're
you're
not
familiar
saying
with.
it is. We
So then
wanted to
why
make
would you
sure-
come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any other
No, you're
threats.
coming because you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken, and that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your
Thank you
jobs
for
and
your
go
time.
home?
We appreciate it.
You're walking away because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are heads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards.
No mercy.
Drive away.
Drive away.
Drive away.
Thank you for your time.
You're not welcome. You should be embarrassed. Embarrassing. You guys are embarrassing.
And off they go. Tail between their legs. Wow.
That license
I
plate.
mean,
Oh no!
and then he waves at the end there.
It waved.
Yeah,
it was
he
a
waved.
good wave. Yeah.
With just one finger, but he waved.
Yeah.
That was sweet. All right, we've got Jeremy on the line. Jeremy Kaufman joins us about that encounter. Jeremy, welcome.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks for having me. My mom did tell me that I shouldn't have sweared at them. So.
Yeah, I bet. My mom would have said the same thing. But it almost seemed appropriate because it was so egregious and so un-American and so unconstitutional. Now, one thing that struck us was that you seemed to know that they were on their way because as soon as they were coming, you knew they were FBI agents. Did they call you in advance?
They didn't call me in advance. My neighbor was actually the one who told me that they were here, and I own both my property and the property across the street, so I think they had been there for several minutes already before I had come out because I think they went to the other property before they came to the house that I live in.
Interesting. Okay. Now, can you tell us what your initial post was? Why were they even interested in it?
Well, they didn't say what post they came for, and I think it's a mistake for us to speculate because that creates the kind of chilling effect that they want, right? They want you to be worried about what you're saying online.
They sure do.
And I will admit, yeah, look, I get a little spicy sometimes. I will admit that. I post a lot. But I don't think I said anything that was any different than what celebrities say about Trump or what far more prominent and important people than me say about a president who's actually had multiple attempts on his life.
Right.
So what's important to recognize in terms of this event is that this is entirely a one-sided thing.
Yes.
Where they're going to investigate in one direction but not the other. And so it's for my friends anything, for my enemies the law. So they're going to use this as a harassment tactic. And similarly, you can see journalistic alignment beyond just these federal agencies being captured because the press hasn't touched the story at all. This video has 50 million views or something like this directly
Oh,
on
wow.
Twitter, let alone all the replays on shows like yours, right? So this is it's awesome. It's been awesome. Honestly, as a right-wing libertarian, it's been awesome to see more conservatives waking up that this is not the FBI of the 1960s. This is an agency that has been captured by your political enemies and is being used for political purposes. So, but yet the press hasn't touched it. So the press will not cover the fact that the FBI is performing these. Sorry, you guys are the press. I'm the press on X. We're all the press now. Is part of what's cool about this current moment.
Right.
But the legacy press, the press that is dying because it's constantly telling people lies, is unwilling to touch this story.
To your point on we shouldn't address what post it was, I fully agree with that and completely support that, because you're right. It does make us concerned about what we're posting online. But suffice it to say that it must not have been anything threatening, right? You didn't threaten anybody's life. There wasn't a terroristic threat. Otherwise, they would have stayed and they would have arrested you.
Absolutely not. There's absolutely no threat made. I mean, I did, like, for example, I don't know there's this post, but I made a joking post about why hasn't anyone tried to assassinate Biden? He's the president. He's in charge of everything. I've known, I'm not saying that that's the post they came for, because I don't know what post they came for.
Yeah. How did you must have been pretty confident in your ability to go ahead and continue to record them, because I think most Americans would just be intimidated by the fact that they told you not to record them any longer.
Well, I'm part of a culture here in New Hampshire. As I mentioned, I'm a right-wing libertarian, and there are thousands, tens of thousands of right-wing libertarians who have specifically relocated to New Hampshire, basically to move the state government and as many institutions as possible in our direction. And so that's related to why my neighbors text me. That's related to why I felt confident in doing this, because it's the culture of our community. There are other people in my community who have done similar acts, who record interactions, with federal agents or law enforcement officers. And so that's something that's sort of been instilled into me culturally, that when you're interacting with law enforcement, you take your camera out, you record it, and you have the right to do that regardless of what they say.
New Hampshire's interesting because isn't live free or die on the license plate? Isn't that the slogan? Or did it used to be?
That's right.
Okay.
It is the slogan, yes.
And yet they seem to vote Democrat an awful lot.
So that's pretty interesting. The entire state government is controlled by Republicans. So that we have a Republican governor, a Republican state house, and we have this group called the Executive Council, which is this weird additional executive branch that other states don't have, but that's also Republican. In 2020, New Hampshire voted 65% for a Republican governor while voting barely for Biden. So there is
Wow. So it's getting closer.
So there's an unfortunate dislike of Trump here specifically among some New Hampshire Republicans. I don't share that dislike. I will be voting straight Republican basically in November, including for Trump. And I think all libertarians should be supporting Trump in this election. But and we also have a great congressional candidate, Lily Tang Williams. I don't know if she's ever been on your show, but she's an amazing woman, and she has a chance to be our first to add a Republican to Congress this year. In one of our congressional districts.
Oh, very cool. Jeremy, this is Keith Malinak. I think you're probably referring to the Free State Project, which, by the way, I voted for Idaho all those years ago. So I came in second place with what I was going for. But I'm just curious, what day do you remember the date that these FBI agents showed up at your place?
Yes, it was a week ago today, so it was the 16th, and they showed up between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern time on the 16th.
So a week ago, you post this awesome video. Have you heard from the federal government since then?
No.
Wow, not a peep? That's amazing.
Nothing.
That is really something.
I mean, that's a master course. I mean, tell me,
it was.
You certainly had to have practiced that for waiting for this moment, right? Or have there been other instances where you've had to deal with the feds?
One, I do have the blessing of being pretty good on my feet, but I have also practiced
nice
talking to you're sort of standing up to cops when or other federal agents when I think I should be. To be clear, most of the time it's totally situational, right? So there are lots of times where I think cops deserve respect and they're doing a service and they're performing actions. Like, I'm not someone who is anti all cops. I am anti some cops. But right, cops were the ones enforcing lockdowns, and things like this, right? They were. Yep. So I think we've got to. I think conservatives should sort of drop the view of just sort of reflexively trusting these institutions. And this is what's so weird about this moment is these institutions, which used to be neutral, are now almost wholly captured by this blue regime, this blob-like structure. And we can hope that Trump and his team can potentially undo this, but honestly, I don't even know how you undo this. They've created this incentive structure, this self-reinforcing incentive structure where there's not a clear, at least not that I can see. Maybe someone smarter than me can figure it out. But there's not a head to cut off, right? There's not one. This isn't some conspiratorial thing that's being plotted by a small number of people. They've created an incentive structure and a set of memes that don't even allow engaging with the other side, and that encourage all good people should be keeping out anyone right wing from their institutions. Right. And so this filtering is happening in this almost undirected way. There wasn't someone who called up the New York Times and was like, okay, make sure all the Republicans get out, make sure anyone right wing gets out, and we're only going to allow left wing journalists and left wing opinions. But once you reach a tipping point, and you see this in the big tech companies too, where 95% of the political donations are going to the Democrats, and then shockingly, all of the moderation decisions seem to go in one direction. And it doesn't. Once you have this density of people with these shared beliefs, it doesn't require direction to produce these outcomes. The outcomes happen in this bottom-up organic way without direction. So how do you fix it? I mean, you can try to change the incentive structure, but it's not clear even how you do that.
Which are great reasons why this is such a brilliant video and such a great example to others who haven't done anything wrong. And you haven't done anything wrong or illegal if they come to your doorstep like they did with yours, Jeremy, and say, yeah, we're just here to talk to you about a post, when you've got freedom of speech here in this country and you're well within your rights to continue to record them and to chase them from your property without saying word one about your post, as you did. And they skulked off with their tail between their legs. It was awesome.
Yeah. An easy chance to practice. Some of your audience may disagree with me, and that's fine, but I'm very against DUI checkpoints. I think this normalizes an interaction with law enforcement officers that have no cause. Okay, so I'm totally for it. If someone's driving a little recklessly, you pull them over, they're intoxicated, punish that person. Right. But if someone is not has not demonstrated any sign of impairment, I think it is wrong to force a police interaction with them. And so your DUI checkpoints are a regular interaction you have with cops where you are within your rights to basically say nothing to them. They have, you give them your ID when and you can ask questions. Like a great question to ask is this a direct order? So if a law enforcement officer is giving you a direct order, you should follow it. So you say, is that an officer? Is that an order or is that a request? And a lot of what they're making is requests. They phrase requests like orders, using people's desire to comply and taking advantage of that. And so that's a great question to be familiar with. Is this an order or is this a request? Most of the time they're making requests. Comply with orders and don't comply with the requests. And again, when you're on the right side of things.